in person, you would have a chance to engage directly through live stream shopping. Although you are engaging one to many, each person watching, if you craft your pitch properly, should feel like you are speaking to them directly. And so the way that they react and interact with you is confirmation of that. And that's how you get better at it. That's how you figure out the secret sauce for your own live stream shopping event, is by listening and evolving and tapering your production and your presentation to what is resonating with your audience and hopefully shopper.
You're listening to the Keep Optimizing podcast to increase your traffic, improve your conversion rates, and grow your profits.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chloe Thomas, the host of this e-commerce marketing focused podcast. If you're not familiar with our format, well, each month we focus on a different marketing method. It could be email or SEO or Facebook ads. And each week I interview a different expert to explore into the latest advice on making it work for you. This month is all about TikTok. But in this episode, we're not explicitly talking to a TikTok episode. Rather, we're talking to an expert in how to sell your products via live video. She's a queen of TV shopping, and she has so much great advice for all of you on how to make those live stream selling expeditions work better. Getting to grips with that is an essential skill set for anyone right now who's trying to sell on TikTok Shop. It's a super powerful channel, and you can't hand it all over to the influencers. You really should be doing some of it yourself. So I'm super excited to bring you this amazing guest and all her brilliant advice. Plus, she's got loads of great free resources to help you take it even further too. So do make sure you listen right to the end of the episode so you don't miss those and her other brilliant quickfire insider tips and my take on it all, plus a few extra ways we can help you. So keep listening to the end, everybody. If you're running an e-commerce store on Shopify, you need to check out Social Snowball. It's the affiliate platform designed for the modern affiliate manager. Unlike traditional platforms focused on publishers and blogs, Social Snowball enables you to grow with creators, ambassadors, influencers, and even your own customers, which of course includes selling on TikTok. One of the standout features of Social Snowball is its ability to eliminate code leaks with safe links. If your discount codes are ending up on coupon sites, Social Snowball will put a stop to that and save your CPA. Check out Social Snowball now via keepopt.com/snowball or find Social Snowball in the Shopify App Store. In this episode, I'm chatting with video sales expert Dawn Chubai. Dawn is a live stream product selling expert. She's been working in TV and video for over 2 decades, originally as a TV presenter and journalist, including as co-host of Canada's #1 breakfast show. And more recently, she's been a star of TV shopping. Dawn is now helping hundreds of influencers, experts, celebrities, and of course brands to learn the skills of live shopping via her live selling school. Hello, Dawn.
Hello. So great to be on your show.
Awesome to have you here. A crazy level, uber level expert in how to sell products via the screen. So very excited to have you here to share your insight with all of us. But how did you end up selling via video? Because from breakfast show to selling although are you selling on the breakfast show? I don't know.
It's actually interesting that you asked that because I never ever thought that I was. But when I got into the world of electronic retailing, which is basically selling through the screen, so TV, home shopping, and live selling, I started to really think about what my time on breakfast television was. And even though we weren't officially selling product, because that would be an advertisement, which is a totally different thing and can often be executed in, like a paid or sponsored segment. But I started to think that the reality is we are always selling something. And when you're on television and you're bringing on guests, and that guest could be literally someone who has a product or a service, but it could also be the idea of selling people on an idea or a concept. So for example, if I would do a live broadcast with an organization that promotes kids in sport, what are we doing? We're selling the idea of kids in sport. When I would do a broadcast from a charity breakfast, someone would go, well, charities don't sell anything. Yes, they do. They're selling you on the idea of where you should spend your dollars. So, yeah, when I reflect, I think, man, I was always selling something. But then fast forward to the last 8 years of my career where I was working, selling through technology, through the screen in TV home shopping and live selling. And ultimately, I started to realize once I left that business full time after moving back to Vancouver from Toronto, that there was an opportunity in starting my live selling school and my programs to help others navigate not only the technology that's available, but the opportunity to navigate that technology as it relates to the changing consumer behavior. So, hello, live selling school, and helping businesses and people do what I did, which is sell and communicate through the screen.
I mean, I think we talked about this the last time we caught up, and I think it's such an important angle is that it's so easy to find out how to technically do a live stream on TikTok as a webinar, etc. But there's very few people teaching, there's people saying how to do it on brand. There's people saying the basics of it, how to make sure you take the money and the mechanics. But the actual skill of making it work, it's very easy to find out how to talk on a stage. It's very difficult to find out how to talk on a stage really well. It's like next level stuff. And it feels to me like no one's talking about that, especially in the TikTok space at the moment.
It's interesting that you say that, Chloe, because when I first launched Live Selling School, I mean, I knew I was onto something because in my market research, and I don't need to tell you what that's about, I had to kind of learn it like I did everything else, sort of fake it till I make it. But I started to investigate what resources were out there for businesses and influencers and brand ambassadors on the actual selling through the screen and what it takes to lead a consumer down that pathway. And I realized very quickly that there were a number of live stream shopping platforms, AKA software, which is kind of what we're talking about, the technology. But there was nobody that was actually teaching people how to sell through the screen. And I think the reason is there are many, many people that can teach you how to sell. And without question, there is a lot of that in live selling. But it's the credible source of providing the information, actually having someone who has done that job. And so I look to a TV home shopping host who really, if we think about it, they're the OG, they're the original influencers actually influencing behavior. And so, yeah, I'm kind of the only one doing it. And I know that because the very day that I launched my live selling school, I started to get emails from literally around the world. We're talking Israel, we're talking China. I've had Zoom calls at all different time zones from platforms who said, this is the missing thing for us. We can provide all the tech, and they all do a little bit of different, but kind of the same. But there's nobody that can actually help the person execute the show that we help be the conduit for.
Which is such an important part of it. It's like with any marketing method. It's very easy to send a load of emails. It's very easy to send a load of SMS. It's very easy to run a load of Facebook ads. It's really hard to learn how to do it well so you actually get a return. And it's with the TikTok thing right now, it's like I think most businesses have got TikTok shop and therefore live selling of, live streaming on their to-do list for this coming Q4. But they're going, oh, well, you're the founder, you should do it. Or you're the, you're good at talking about the product. Or let's get some shop staff, slam them in front of a camera for 4 hours and hope it's going to work. And it's like, you wouldn't do that with any other marketing channel. So before I totally get off on a rant about that, are the skills the same on all video formats? You said about TV shopping being the OG. Is it the same skill set from that through to TikTok or webinars or any other option?
Well, yes. And there are also ways that you need to customize that experience. So listen, I don't personally do TikTok shopping, but I am a seller through the screen. And so I think before any brand just sort of jumps on the bandwagon of the moment, which is, TikTok shop. And I'm not saying it's not in there the long term, but you also have to decide as a brand, is TikTok shop aligned with your image, your aesthetic? There are going to be some legacy brands and brands that have more of a heritage customer that are going to think, okay, I got to do TikTok shop. And the reality is that might not be the right format because TikTok shop it can be frantic. It requires in the truest form, like a 2 to 4 hour show to really generate the revenue that you're hoping for. Understanding you can also do shoppable video and shorter form sales, and maybe that's where you go. But I think before you just dive into the TikTok shop, which is hot, hot, hot on the topic, really decide if that is fitting with your brand itself. And then, yes, Chloe, you have to decide who is going to be the person. And so, regardless of the platform, who is the right person? Sometimes it is the owner or the inventor or the designer, but only if they are capable in all the things it takes to lead that customer down the pathway toward purchase. So does that mean if they don't have those skills that they cannot be front facing? Absolutely not. Maybe in that case, you're going to have a co-host situation. So and when I say professional, I don't mean it has to be a person that was a TV home shopping host. What I mean is someone who is able to execute all that it takes to take a consumer down that pathway and also set that brand expert or the designer or the CEO or whoever for success in the way a traditional interviewer on any media platform, forget about shopping, media platform would be able to do. So it can be customized to whatever the brand needs to succeed in its space.
I love that idea of having two people doing it because you've got some support there. If the brain freezes, someone else is there ready to pick up. And I think, if you watch the TV shopping channels and you see an hour where there is somebody's line is being sold and there's the proper seller and there's the founder, and the way in which they have you can see very clear different roles. The founder isn't reading out the code or the calls to action. The founder is there to provide the value. And I think sometimes it can almost devalue the role of that person if they're also the one reading out the code. So you can kind of get an extra bump from that.
Yeah, it almost establishes a whole different level of credibility. And I almost like to say it's almost like letting the founder, so if we use that and keep in mind that could be described in all the different forms of whoever the representative is, but sets them up as to be the star, a bit of the celebrity, like, oh my gosh, right? We've got Bobby Brown or we've got whatever designer is here. And yeah, when you look at the person who maybe invented or brought the product to market, they kind of sometimes, they know why you want this product, right? But they don't sometimes feel comfortable. Maybe they feel a little slimy or icky about doing that call to action of add to cart now, we have 5 left. And that's where the professional seller, so we'll use maybe that as sort of the description for the person who I would call the host in that case, and that could be the influencer or a person who works for the organization. They can do all of the things that really tell the consumer what they must do to be able to get this product. So how you're going to shop. Every platform is different. So TikTok, same thing, right? Make sure you know what the pathway is. Understanding that a call to action, which again, a lot of times the founder might not feel comfortable saying, is more than just add to cart. Sometimes it is the engagement that you want. So we want you to comment or ask us your questions. Type it in the box, right? Tell the consumer what to do. And that, again, if you have the person who's in charge of that, the seller, then the founder can really just focus on the features only as they relate to the benefits, because that at the end of the day, that's all that matters to the consumer. And to really story tell. That's where the founder or the person who brought the product to market really can shine, because they're the ones who know why they created a product. And then ultimately, as a team, if you're going to work in that format, the seller and the founder can then help the consumer understand how that fits into their motivation.
So you mentioned there about both engagement and the sales call to action. Should we have, goals, targets, KPIs for both of those as we're doing these kind of events? Is it as important to get interaction as it is to get the sales?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's that engagement that ultimately is going to, first of all, help you gather data, right? Because don't forget, I mean, when we talk about the KPIs, and I'm not a marketing expert, I just know what works through the screen, but we think of ultimately sales. And a lot of times brands that are engaging in live stream shopping, their first concern is how much are we going to sell? Okay, well, you can produce the best show. It could be like Oscar worthy, right? Award winning if it were on any other network. But if there is no one watching, it's going to be for naught. So the engagement is part of how you drive viewership, and the engagement starts before you go live. The engagement, the most successful live stream shopping events and the brands that are doing it well already are active on social, and they are already active with their followers. Now, in show, where the engagement is important is this is where you can address things like customer objections, right? Answer questions that help them make a better purchase. It also offers a chance for the presenter to really formulate a proper call to action that allows that customer to feel like, they're being heard. And so I think ultimately, yeah, you do need the engagement, and it really is one of the benefits of live stream shopping, because in person, Chloe, you would have a chance to engage directly through live stream shopping. Although you are engaging one to many, each person watching, if you craft your pitch properly, should feel like you are speaking to them directly. And so the way that they react and interact with you is confirmation of that. And that's how you get better at it. That's how you figure out the secret sauce for your own live stream shopping event, is by listening and evolving and tapering your production and your presentation to what is resonating with your audience and hopefully shopper.
So how do we sell well via video? Is there a formula? Are there key tips we should know about? How do we set us up on the path to success for our first one? And as though we are the host, let's go away from the two format. This is the person who's the host who's in charge of generating the engagement and the sales.
Sure, and let's imagine that starts from the host being someone who is involved with the business. So as a brand, let's backtrack even a little bit to, as a brand, do I want to engage in live stream shopping? And so yes, that could be TikTok, but it could also be on any other platform, because this really is a strategy that can translate, and then it's your job based on the platform to decide how does that have to be adjusted or tailor. So ultimately you have to decide, is this right for me? And for any business that wants to promote a product, I have to say it is. In whatever platform you use, this is a tool that if you are not using, you are leaving money on the table, but you're also not accessing all of the opportunity to connect and engage an audience in the way that they are shopping now. And also perhaps re-engage an audience that is kind of fallen off of your brand wagon. So yeah, what's your problem and how are you going to solve that problem? I mean, this is sales 101, but where the live stream happens is you've got to then go, okay, what platform is best for me? You've got to, I like to say there's a bit of an 8-step formula. So in addition to your typical hooks and your intros and your calls to action, your benefits and your features and your permission to buy, you then also, the added element with live stream as opposed to just basic sales is now how are you going to help the consumer be immersed into your product and your virtual store the way that they would if they were coming in. So I use a term called see the feel. So it's not only the element of demonstrating a product that you cannot touch, taste, or try on as a consumer, right? So through the screen, how are we going to display or describe how soft something is so the person can actually feel it through technology? Or if you're selling a consumable product like gourmet foods, how do we get their mouth watering? I mean, so you can take basic copywriting that you might have on your e-commerce, but that's often not deep enough, Chloe. You need to have the person trying to lick their smartphone. Like that's how good it's got to be, right? So we're going deep, deep, deep. And also different ways of saying the exact same thing, because we all absorb information differently. And because you as a host, as the presenter, are communicating through a little pinhole camera, right, through your phone or your computer, and you can't see how what you're saying is affecting the person on the other side in the same way that you would if that person were face to face with you, you have to imagine all the different people. And so there are going to be different ways that you say and show the same thing.
Got you. I like everything you're saying, but I particularly like the bit about having different ways to say it, because it's quite a long period of time to fill, and frequently you're not selling on the TikTok channel in particular, you're not selling 20 different SKUs across 4 hours. You're selling one SKU repeatedly over 4 hours, one bundle or something. So to be ready to describe it in lots of different ways and to think about that before you hit go live would be a really good idea. So I think that's really cool. You said there's like an 8-step formula. I don't think we've got time to do all 8 steps justice. Do you want to pick out a couple or give us a taster?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, and keep in mind in that 8-step, the call to action is actually incorporated a couple of different times. So, I mean, we could call it a 7-step, but then you got a call to action in the front end and the back end. But the idea is, at the end of the day, when I say that step formula, it's not like, okay, take one step and then now take the next step. It's really, you have to be able to think about all of the elements. And so I probably should call it like an 8-element formula, because there are going to be times that you mix up the formula, because you also, on top of it, this is not a monologue. It is, right, when you're selling, because you're talking by yourself, but you are also trying, if you're really good at it, being able to listen via the comments, right? Because that's how you're engaging with the consumer, or with the little hearts that are coming up, or the thumbs up or the thumbs down or whatever. You have to be able to be somewhat fluid. So the hook is very, very important. And what is that? Think about fishing, right? We're trying to reel them in. Now, I know that sounds slimy and it sounds like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. That's what sales is. And if you're kidding yourself if you don't think that when you bring on an influencer on any influencer marketing, or you're putting up a sign and you're selling, you're not doing this to not sell your product. But if you, in your hook, remember that yes, you are selling, but ultimately you have to be able to, in that hook, answer the why someone is going to want that product. It could be price driven. Ultimately, it has to tie into one of the motivations, which of course is either a need or want, and understanding that outside of food and shelter and basic clothing, we really don't need anything else. So almost anything, unless you fall into those 3 things, into those 3 categories, everything else is a want. So your hook, though, has to be able to somehow reach the customer in a way that that want becomes something they need. So it's usually results driven, right? Tapping into the many triggers, often emotional, that people have. Do they want to feel more confident? Do they want to save time? Do they want to be better at something? So if you can craft a hook that somehow ties into what the motivation of your customer is, and that's your job as a business to understand that before you even bring your product to market. Now, how are you going to communicate that? So the hook for me is one of the first things that you need to do sometimes, even before you introduce yourself. Because why do you care who I am? Right? But you don't. You care about what's this product, and then why might you care? Well, this is where, again, in the formula, you craft your pitch, which also establishes your expertise. So here's why you need this. Here's why I'm the one to tell you about it. And then here's how you can get it home. So that also ties into your calls to action. The permission to buy, I think, is something very unique as well in the form of the live stream selling in particular. And listen, and when I say that, I mean it. You go back to the root of why someone would be allowed, and I say that because back in the day, the female in the family often had to ask for money to buy something. So now we go into modern day, usually now we have to justify to ourselves why we deserve something. So somewhere in there, you've got to be able to establish that you deserve this. And I get it. Maybe you didn't walk into this live stream or to this store thinking you were going to walk out with this particular device or this particular appliance. But at the end of the day, you make pies every single day. Are you telling me you don't deserve a KitchenAid mixer? Like, come on. Think about the per use. Think about the way this is going to give you more time back or give you a better result. And all of a sudden, that $350 stand mixer, right? And I'll go Canadian dollars here. Now it seems like an exceptional deal when you think of the longevity and the impact it can make on your life. So, I mean, I kind of highlighted a lot of that. The other thing I think is really important is to make sure that you don't get bogged down into what often is listed on an e-commerce site in the features, things that don't matter to the consumer. So if you're going to say the wattage of a blow dryer, then you need to establish why that would be important. Okay, less drying time, less damage to your hair. That's the only reason the wattage would matter. No one's going to care. The weight of a blow dryer, the only reason you need to mention that is if you are speaking, again, when understanding the different consumers, to maybe the professional hairstylist who is using that blow dryer for 8 hours a day and is starting to develop carpal tunnel. Other than that, keep it simple.
What I found really fascinating was, especially in that bit when you were talking about the permission to buy, is that you were mixing up both logical reasons, price per usage, for example, and the more emotional things. You know, you make pies every day, you deserve it to be easier. I'm guessing that that's a key part of it, is to hit both sides of the brain, as it were.
Sure, because the customer motivations are different, and how to appeal to a customer has to be acknowledged. And if you were dealing with a customer in person, you would absolutely be able to identify that, because you would either read facial expression, or the customer would literally say, that's way too much money. That's not worth it. And then that would be your job to find a way to deal with that objection. But when you are dealing through the screen, again, understanding you don't know who is watching, where they're watching, you don't know their personal finances or situation, you don't want to be arrogant enough to think that you know, right? So you have to sort of give them options and different ways to think of it. And so for the person that needs the logical, you're going to tap into them. For the person that doesn't, you didn't offend them, but you also respect the consumer enough to understand that everybody is different. And although you believe that, hey, $350 is a good deal, you're not arrogant enough to think that you should spend a person's money for them. So it's your job to be able to lead them down that pathway. And also to that point as well, Chloe, to also understand that not every product is for everybody. And it's good to acknowledge that, because if this product is not right for you for whatever reason, it's not right for your skin or your texture of your hair, or for the kind of floor that you have, a certain product is going to damage it. That's your job to say that as well. And also potentially and hopefully offer an alternative that still allows that person to be a customer. Because one of the most important roles, in particular with live stream shopping, and yes, in TikTok shop, even though I know it can be frantic and very exciting, and there's all the gamification, which is a whole other element of live stream shopping, you want to put the right product in the right consumer's hands, because returns, although lower, historically 40% lower than traditional e-commerce, right? It's that advocacy that also builds that trust, Chloe, and that really ultimately authenticity. And really that authenticity leads to the trust, which ultimately should hopefully lead to sales, if not during that live stream, but perhaps during another one, or perhaps the consumer goes to the website on a later date remembering this conversation. And so the results in the optimization, of course, you're looking at multiple opportunities to reach that customer, and live stream shopping could be that first or that last part.
I love that how it fits in the whole customer journey as well. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for all of this, Dawn. It's been great picking your brains about how to sell on live video. Listeners, remember to stay tuned right to the end so you don't miss out on Dawn's insider tips on all of this, and my suggestions for more free resources to help you improve things even further in your businesses. If you're running an e-commerce store on Shopify, you need to check out Social Snowball. It's the affiliate platform designed for the modern affiliate manager. Unlike traditional platforms focused on publishers and blogs, Social Snowball enables you to grow with creators, ambassadors, influencers, and even your own customers, which of course includes selling on TikTok. One of the standout features of Social Snowball is its ability to eliminate code leaks with safe links. If your discount codes are ending up on coupon sites, Social Snowball will put a stop to that and save your CPA. Check out Social Snowball now via keepopt.com/snowball, or find Social Snowball in the Shopify App Store. Okay, Dawn, so far we've gone deep into how to sell on live video. Now you get to wow us with your insider knowledge about it all. So for the following questions, your answer can be anything to do with live selling, which of course includes everything we've already been talking about. Are you ready for these?
Oh, I'm very nervous, but I do like the element of being able to share live and figure it out as we go. I mean, that's really what it's
Cool.
about, right?
Very much so. Okay, let's start with newbie advice. We've inspired someone to take that first tentative step. What do they need to know to give themselves the best chance of success?
Okay, first of all, when you say success, Chloe, I think in particular with live stream shopping, you need to understand that there are probably many measures of success. So you have to think about that as a whole, and then you also have to dive deeper. So if you're looking at success being about sales, then to set yourself up for that, be sure you are already engaging with your consumer, because live stream shopping is about engagement. Okay, make sure that you are utilizing all the tools available to you. And when I say tools, I mean sales tools, which are based on sales formulas, but also planning your demonstrations, planning the language that you believe is going to convert, establish the calls to action that are going to be important. Now, if we want to talk about success for a show, because at some point you hope that these end up being partners, but to create a successful show, then there are other elements. So concerning yourself with what the customer experience is going to be like. You would never welcome someone into your physical storefront having not cleaned the floors, cleared up the clutter, created a nice aesthetic. Why would you think that your online experience should be any different? And so in doing that, think about what your props are. Think about what your backdrop is. Think about what your set is going to look like. And I know there are going to be people out there that think, oh, but this is supposed to look like we're just winging it, especially on TikTok Shop. Or, oh, that's going to take away my authenticity. No, it is not. It is respecting the people that are spending time with you, that are using their bandwidth, their data, their Wi-Fi connection, their literal time. So respect them enough to properly think about your aesthetic, but also to plan your show. So what are you putting in your show? Have you figured out all those elements, the demonstrations and the descriptions? How much time are you going to spend? What elements of gamification are you going to be used? So in your spontaneity, the reason you can be spontaneous and fun is because you've planned. So don't make the mistake of thinking that planning is not necessary. It absolutely is. And so to be successful, yeah, do all the things that you would do in a physical storefront. If you have never had a physical storefront, you've definitely been to one. So think of what makes that experience good. Having a great presenter, right? Having something presented to you in a way that allows you to, I don't know, feel like you're going to have a connection to it. That's going to be the important thing. And then, of course, deciding who is going to front that experience. And so then there's camera confidence and all of that. But ultimately, for the newbie out there, you got to just get used to speaking through technology about your product passionately and diving into the deep levels of why the consumer, not why you say they should want it, but why the consumer should have it.
Oh, that was like a whole podcast episode in itself. So much value in that answer. That was awesome. Okay, once you've started, of course, you've got to keep optimizing. So what's your favorite way to improve performance?
Rinsing and repeating and learning and gathering data. And so when I say data, I know when we think about marketing and all of that, we look at analytics, but data is also internal, right? How did you feel? Did you feel comfortable? Did you feel out of place? Did you think you did a great job? So in doing that, watch yourself back. That's important. And learn from what you've done. Would you have purchased from yourself, right? So ultimately, when you look at optimizing and improving, you're going to keep doing that. But you also have the opportunity to repurpose a lot of your content and reimagine your content. And so don't be afraid to do that. I mean, it really is one of the most efficient ways. I'm going to say, even though you might be dedicating, in the case of TikTok shopping, maybe 4 hours, maybe 2 hours, whatever it is, in doing that, you're going to have so much that you can use, including bits that you can actually use on your e-commerce site. I mean, TV Home Shopping has been doing this for years. I don't work at the shopping channel as a main host anymore. I am a vendor, I'm a guest, I am somebody that presents jewelry now. But even though I'm not an employee anymore, I can go to tsc.ca and I can see myself presenting products from 7 years ago, and without having the bits about the price, for instance. So, to optimize, utilize the bits that are about the things that don't change, right? The features only as they apply to the benefits, that hook. and where you can get it, and a demonstration if you can do that. And that now is something that becomes content that is so incredibly valuable, because all the reasons you're doing live stream, which is to connect with that audience virtually, on their time when it's convenient for them, not for you and your live stream that's been scheduled, they now can access that same personal connection that, frankly, copy on a page cannot do.
That's a killer tip, that is. Now, if someone listening wants to learn more, is there a cheap or free resource you would recommend?
Well, hey, free. And keep in mind, free isn't always valuable and cheap isn't always the best deal. But I will tell you, on my website, which is livesellingschool.com, there's a little, the little menu. Go to resources. And from there, you will find a 4-part video series. It's bite-sized, but it's basically 18 minutes in total, on the essential strategies and foundations of live selling. And this will be applicable and usable for you to understand what live stream shopping is, and also some techniques and takeaways that you can use right now if you're comfortable. Now, if you believe that live stream shopping is right for you, but you're not 100% sure, I also offer a free 30-minute strategy call. And from that, it's not just me selling to you. I actually will listen to you and try to identify the areas of opportunity for you. And if you're good to go, I hope you go. I hope you go live, and I hope you succeed. That's my goal. But if you feel you need more guidance, then I'll also help you on what your next steps could be. And then, of course, on there, you'll also find my small business guide to live stream shopping that lays out step by step what it takes to execute, kind of more at a high level, a successful event. But for those of you that are interested, that could be a great start for you as well. So livesellingschool.com, it's all there.
I love that. DIY options as well as the help me please option. So love that. Thank you so much. Finally, it's crystal ball time. What's coming up in the next 6 to 12 months that we should be getting ready for?
Well, listen, live stream shopping in whatever platform you're choosing, it's been an evolution. I mean, it started way back when in China, Alibaba with their first Singles Day, and here we are now, talking about TikTok week and TikTok shopping. I think most recently, when you think about what the next 6 to 12 months can bring, I think the announcement of Zara putting live stream into the US, UK, and Europe is probably something that has now drawn more attention to bigger brand retailers, certainly, but also small businesses. So I think now that we're seeing a bit more traction with mainstream brands, I think now in the next 6 to 12 months, I will see my analytics with more people going to my website. We will see Google having more alerts that are driving to that live stream shopping, of which that's how I found out about Zara and brands like Steve's Leaves, MaPa, right to the big box. So I think we'll start to see more traction in trying to understand it. And then from there, I think we're going to start to see more brands, and particular smaller brands, just taking the leap into live stream. Because what's the worst that can happen, right? The worst that can happen is that you don't explore all the options, to me, especially as we're seeing consumer behavior change. But so what? You mess up on your first live. You're going to learn from that. You're going to realize, oh gosh, no one watched. And then you're going to backtrack and reverse engineer to go, well, why didn't they watch? Oh, right. I haven't posted on Instagram in like 12 months, or I've got 5 people on YouTube. Okay. But you know what you did do? You now also know how to go live and execute a live stream, even if no one's watching. And that might also be a great way for you to practice. And that's okay. Like, I get it. It's hard to yell out into the ether the thing you believe in so much, your product. But maybe that's how you hone that skill. And guess what? With consistency, that's going to be the ultimate thing. You're going to be able to start to build a routine. I mean, why do we binge watch shows? Why do we subscribe to a series? Why do we subscribe to a podcast? Because we get value. We are interested. We're entertained. So the more you do it, you're going to get better. And I think the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see more brands at least dipping a toe, and then ultimately starting to realize, oh, wait, there's something here. And we'll start to see more scheduled live stream shopping shows.
Completely agree. Now is a great time to start testing, everybody. Now is a great time to be dipping that toe in the water. So Dawn, we are very nearly at the end of the show. So could you please tell us a little bit more about your business and how everybody can get in touch?
So Live Selling School really is about learning not only the skills of what it takes to communicate and convert and engage through the screen in all the different forms and all the different platforms, but it's meant also to help brands and individuals navigate the future of retail, which we often hear it be called live stream shopping, but that word kind of changes here and there. Live commerce, video commerce. To me, it's really anything that is commerce on camera. So think about that. That could be live, that could be taped, that could be short, that could be long. I'm helping people navigate that. And so because of my expertise, not only in front of the camera, but also understanding on the back end what it takes, having worked specifically with brands on the production and execution of their shows, I understand all the things from pitch to presentation, what it takes to host those shows, but also produce those shows. So I do help brands through consultation. It could be a done with you model, it can be a done for you model. And then of course, I've also got my HSH method of live selling course that is available for anyone that wants a self-learning 6 modules, 17 lessons sort of format to go step by step through the process. And then I'm just about to come out with another program geared specifically for businesses, because the first really is more about the presenters, but for businesses that's going to be called Leap into Live Stream. And so I'm just working on that right now. So for anyone that is interested, I highly encourage you to go to livesellingschool.com. You'll always see the most recent announcements. I've got my podcast as well, Leap into Live Stream, which you can also find via livesellingschool.com as a link to, of course, all the different platforms wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Chloe's podcast, the same spots, you'll be able to find it there. And ultimately, if you want to email me, right? Again, that email address is via the website, but it is dawn@livesellingschool.com, and reach out. I am personally answering questions, and I can steer you in the right direction to help decide if live stream shopping, live commerce is right for you and your business as you navigate the scary future of the digital age and all the things that are available to you. Those skills are available for you to use in person and on video, and I'm here to teach and help you through it.
Oh, that's brilliant, Dawn. Thank you so much for sparing the time to come on and chat with us. I know the audience will have learned an awful lot from this podcast episode, and they know exactly how to go and learn more. So thank you for coming on the show. It's been brilliant catching up with you again.
Thank you so much, Chloe.
Okay, so a ton of advice there on how to get your live selling skills upgraded for the video format. Love the idea of really watching the engagement as it's coming in and driving for that as much as you're driving for sales, so as you can really improve faster, optimize faster, because you can see what's going down or what's not. Mixing up the messages so you're appealing to different people and keeping it interesting. And I can see a lot of brands getting on really well with that double host idea. You know, the host who's in charge of all the not important, but all the the calls to actions, the hooks, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got the founder or the product expert there to add to the glamour, I suppose. You can get the links to all those things we discussed, the full transcript of the episode, important notes and more at keepoptimizing.com, or you can use our special direct to episode short links. Just put keepopt.com/episode number into the URL bar and you'll be redirected straight to the correct page on the website. When you get to the website, you can also add yourself to our email list so you don't miss out on any of the other things I share to help you improve your business. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Keep Optimizing podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, then do check out our other TikTok episodes. You can find them by scrolling up your feed to anything that starts with the words TikTok, strangely enough. Or you can find all our TikTok episodes by going to keepopt.com/TikTok. On that will give you a web page that lists all of them. Please do tell your fellow marketers about the show as well, because I know a lot of you are trying to work out what your TikTok and TikTok shop strategy should be right now. And we're putting these episodes together to help you understand if it's for you and how to do it successfully if it is. So yeah, please do spread the word about this series and this show. Have a great week, all of you, and make sure you listen to the next episode so I can help you to keep optimizing your marketing.
Access everything Keep Optimizing at keepoptimizing.com. That's with an S, not a Z.
Don't forget to check out Social Snowball, the modern affiliate platform, via keepopt.com/snowball or find them in the Shopify App Store.